Morning, guys. More Fresh Protect Dog Training and BigBoy. Sixth morning. Now, over the last month or so, as I've been doing my thing, posting and everything, I've had a lot of reaction from people that I didn't realize were even out there. I've always looked at my numbers. I'm not really an influencer as far as like Oscar Morris. Somebody's got influence. They're all after the numbers and the bells and the whistles with the filming and all that. I'm just out to teach. And so it's made me feel pretty good. I got one call from a kid that's in Hawaii that says he's been watching my videos and he's got himself a dog training business there, and he's gone on to ring sport and done really good things, hanging with a lot of good trainers. It's not just me, but he called me just to be good enough to let me know that I kind of was the one that got him started, and it makes me feel real good. It makes my heart swell. So, and then I've got a lot of people that are coming at me right now wanting to learn and grow, and some of them are saying teach me, and it's cool. It's a neat, it makes my heart swell. It's like I said before, because this is why I do it. Why do I educate? Why do I teach? What do I do? It started from a very young age, and I'm going to go into that maybe in a yak session later today that I'll post out in the next few days. But right now, I posted a post this morning. Horowitz, or whatever her name is, does cognition, and Oprah did a podcast on her, because Oprah's got a big love for dogs. I mean, it's a pretty cool podcast, but I've already got the book in my library, and I've read it, and get into the subject overall of cognition, and she's a scientist. They're breaking their analyzation of things down to minuscule, real specific patterns and things, and they're logging it, and they're scientists. But I do a lot of that without even realizing over the years is why do I love doing what I'm doing, and how do I process it? What do I do? I analyze. It's constant. Caesar, I mentioned it in a post this morning, and I posted that book out with Oprah's podcast on my Facebook page, that Caesar, a year or so ago, finally mentioned my name. Well, he's got the story mixed up, but that's all right. He's got a real busy lifestyle, and he's been all over the place, and he's got biographers that have painted a picture and written a story that I disagree with. That's all right. It's not disagreement that's going to break the bank. It's just I remember things that he doesn't remember. Good, and his life has been so busy, I can't blame him for that. He's getting a lot more going on in his life than in mine, that's for sure. Mine's a little more centered in what I get into, but so right now, what you see is a puppy, 9 weeks old, going on 10 weeks old. He'll be 10 weeks on Friday. And his growth and maturity, just like a child, a human child. But the difference is psychology is why a human is a human and a dog is a dog. They have their instincts and their drives, and everything is what makes them who they are. You can't humanize a dog. He's always going to be a dog. Don't ever forget that, and that's what a lot of people do. They forget and they humanize their dog. There's a big fancy word for that, I can't think of it. I can never say it, so I don't. It just basically it means you're humanizing your animal, and how you think and how you look at them, in your perspective is to look at them and think human. That's why people end up. I was talking about the other day that a trainer had mentioned people yakking at their dogs and trying to make full sentences and what I call writing a book, right? And then they don't understand that dogs don't understand language that way. Everything's about what I'm talking about when I'm trying to show you this little puppy. But we want to talk about maturity. Just like in a child, when you take a child to the playground and you do what you do with a child, you're trying to get them used to their bodies, to be able to experience the world in such a way that all this ability of depth perception and your hand moving somewhere and grabbing something, all that has to be lined up as a child. And that's why you go to the playground. The child's getting their balance and they're learning to step and their depth perception and all that. That's why you do agility with a dog. It's the same reason. You're trying to gain confidence within the animal, and with that confidence comes everything, because the biggest problem with the animal, as far as especially with a Dutch Shepherd or any dog that's a working animal, our biggest problem is fear, right? If you can overcome that fear and you can socialize, and I say socialize, I don't like that word. Remember, I don't like the word socialize because of how we've turned that word into something that it is made it an abortion. It's not really, we want environmental, that's a better word for it, okay? We want to use environment to be able to maximize the dog's strength and take away their weakness in regards to fear. The more confidence we can give this animal and knowledge of their body, and that's done with agility, and it's done with environmental, meaning people, places, things, okay? Sound. Dogs are very sound aware, sound sensitive, however you want to look at it. That sound means everything to them. Right now, this little guy's brain is picking up on everything around him. His attention span is not much, so I'm fighting that all the time. You hear me talking about floating like a butterfly. Well, that's what I'm talking about. His brain goes from one spot to another. Butterfly, and he was over here and he was centered on what I was doing, and boom, butterfly. Okay, that's attention span, and that starts to get better as they get older, right? Any child's the same way. How does a child, if you see child development, you see the same thing in child development, but they're not a dog, they're a human. Excuse me. Yes, they are a human. So you have to really make sure that you don't humanize your dog. You have to always look at it in dog psychology, right? And understand it. And then right now what we're dealing with is a very young puppy, good, that doesn't have the attention span that he will when he gets older. Good. And so that's what you see me, and I'm right now just being patient overall with my work, because I can only hit a certain plateau and not push him. I've got to let a dog be a dog also. I've got to go out and do things to let him sniff, let him use his nose. I'll be doing that when I go to the park. Let him experience life, and that's what that environmental is all about, right? So right now I'm trying to get him to come up in the back without having to do it. I don't want to do a poke, because at his age, I can get to that later. 12, 16 weeks, there's all kinds of growth maturity-wise. Back to that attention span, the maturity that we're talking about. Good. So one of the big things that you need to understand, especially with Dutch Shepherd or strong breeds that are real stout, that you have to deal with their aggression tendencies and how they change when they get older, right? That's the biggest thing. Everybody thinks this little puppy is going to be like this for the rest of his life. He's not. He's going to grow into a dog, and he's going to be a very strong dog if I have my way with it, and that's how I do my work. But with that comes another offshoot with the Dutch Shepherds. They're known very prone to come up the leash, and it's basically an emotional state of mind caused by excitement and drive. Look at this little guy, okay? He's a herding dog that's used to chasing after animals and chasing sheep and going here, and everything's fast in his world, little speedboat, right? And my tendency as a human being, my personality type, is I'm a speedboat. I'm hyperactive, I'm ADHD, and that's maybe why I like to breed so much, right? So we have to learn who we are and be honest, self-honest with yourself too. That's why you'll see me starting to practice bringing my energy levels down to zero, right? What happened when I started talking real soft? I start talking soft, you start reaching to hear me, right? But it also does something to the animal, voice tone, right? But that's energy that you put out yourself that influences the dog. His learning, his mental state of mind and how he sees the world. Good. And that's why you hear me talking a lot about good, getting the dog's brain to settle, because I know what this beast is all about. Good. This is my breed of choice, and I'm pretty familiar with it by now with dealing with, well, there's 10 puppies in this litter, and I've had 2 other litters already. Good. And I've had a lifetime of working with dogs, Australian Shepherds, all kinds of herding dogs, and they all are different. Every breed is different, every type, and every dog is an individual, just like you and I. There are no two people alike, right? We're all individuals. Well, dogs are like that too. Good. But I can take this and mold and shape it the way I want it to go to us in a certain perspective. Nope. Trying to get him to understand that no marker, right? Robbing him of the food. This will become more prevalent as we go along until I sense the dog understands it. Again, clarity, conveying a thought to the dog. Good. Getting him to understand. Good. In a lot more of a depth, right? So back to voice tone. Voice tone, whether you realize it or not, our voice tone is relegated by our emotions. When we're angry, we show anger with our voice tone. When we're happy, good. Okay, so all that is basically directed, the underpinning of all that coming from your voice is your emotions. Good. And a dog reads our emotions like a book. Everything
Good. That they are picking up is coming from you. This morning when I got out of bed, my brain right away went to, what am I going to do with my pattern and my patterns in the morning that are going to affect him? Good, because I know this little guy's a sponge right now, and he's watching me like a hawk. He's picking up on all the patterns. So I went away. First thing I did was went out and took him outside. Good. And I'll have a tendency sometimes to chastise and be mad because he's an independent little cuss. He wants to take off and go where he wants to go. And he likes to be out of the sun. He doesn't like the sunlight because probably he's been in that barn, in that shadow type of environment, in that barn stall. Good. So the sun's going to come a lot more, so he has a tendency to want to run for the shade. And he goes to that trailer to get up underneath the trailer and be in the shade. So he wants to do his thing, his dookie, and do his potty break in that area, and I don't want him in that area. I want him out where I want to walk out farther away from the house and get him to do his potty. Well, he, independent little cuss that he is, good, wants to take off and go where he wants to. Well, I need to have a control factor, a leash, a harness, something, and I need to dictate terms. It's not easy. Good, with a strong-willed dog like this. You see me coming back to my main. Usually there's a patterns of 2s and 3s, but there's also a primary, secondary, and last. In other words, what he's learning, the new thing, that may be something new that he's learning, the old thing that he already knows really well, good, and maybe something that's in between that he's learning, just starting to learn it, right? So those 3 things are kind of what you're hinging on, and I tie it into my patterns of 2s and 3. Good. This will become a primary. After a while, this will become something he's very strong at because I do so much of it, and then I'll leave it and I'll move it to the back burner, but it's always there to use in my patterns of 2s and 3s. I'm going to step into him. See, when he wasn't watching my body. Every time he did it, he went down. And we are out of hot dogs, and that's enough for his little stomach right now. Good boy. Good. Good. Big boy. Good. Big boy. Yep, good boy, good, yeah, go, good boy. Trying to get him used to the explosion release aspect of things, and I start playing, good. And now I've got a bunch of little toys out here, 2 or 3 of them. You shouldn't have any more than 2 or 3 because he's got to distinguish what's his and what isn't his. And his brain went right away, floated from this to his smell. I put the food up in food bowls soaking right now on the counter, and that scent is coming off of that and coming there. It's another thing that he is very strong with his nose. He's shown me already in numerous spots, and I've got enough experience under my belt to be able to read and analyze the dog's behavior that I've seen it, that his nose is very powerful. And all dogs are for that matter, but a lot of people don't pick up on it. So right away, when I first started those hot dogs, I was putting them in the microwave, and I noticed when I brought them out cold out of the refrigerator to chop them up, he was already getting excited. He could smell them without even being heated up. Now our brain says, oh, they need to be heated, and then that vapor would be in the scent, and the dog would pick it up. Dog's nose is a lot better than that, believe me. And he was showing me almost on the first, even without being introduced to hot dogs, maybe the first day, he was already doing that. He could smell food. So in other words, food's a big drive for these guys. In other words, they come up, especially if you set it into patterns. I've been doing this every morning and starting my sessions with him right out of the gate with going into this little work routine, which is food related, right? It's getting into the hot dogs, getting into the kibble, whatever it is food-wise, and his nose is very prevalent. You see him right now, he's going behind this counter and he's lifting his nose up in the air because he's smelling that smell coming from the food soaking on the counter and where I chopped the hot dogs. I was right there on the counter chopping them, and that scent cone is falling off of that counter downwards. Scent is vapor, right? And it moves, it changes its location, it goes places depending on the air conditioning in the room or cold or hot. All these things move that scent to different places. The dog picks up on it. When you get into scent work, you start realizing that. Now, I'm an expert in scent work, and my emphasis right now in life is not in that area. I can go back there, but I did have put a bomb dog through Al the Horse Police Canine Kennels, and I went out and started doing bomb dog work, went through their 6-week course and certified a dog as a bomb dog. Now, we never did anything with it, but again, it was me learning and growing. I spent a good chunk of change going through their 6-week course before they were offering it to the public. Now they do a civilian scent work out there, and they charge pretty good money for it, but it all comes from their law enforcement background in dealing with scent work and doing detection dogs, right, of all types. What is the dog being trained to detect and define?
But most of them nowadays, a lot of them are bomb dogs, right? But they also have drug dogs and all that, which somebody like me, I'm a civilian, I can't handle the drugs. And you've got to be licensed, you got to be all that to handle the drugs. And so I'm not law enforcement, so I don't have that access to what I would need for that primary item. So people in the civilian sector get into scent work type. There's a young lady that's hooked in with Oscar Moore that's doing real good building her business, and they're doing a lot of seminars at his place, and she's got a training facility in Arizona, and she's doing what is admirable for anybody that wants to be a trainer, is working hard to earn and build her business in that area, right? I'll be getting together with her when I can financially afford it. Good boy, good. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. So that's my little yak session, starting out my first session with him this morning. But most everything you want to do is observe, pay attention, watch your dog, watch his behavior, analyze, right? And then learn all you can from all the books and the seminars and everything else you can when you're trying to get into being a dog trainer. It's your knowledge that's going to make the difference, right? Yeah. It's like the kid that bought the one dog. He's in Vegas, and that guy really wants to be a dog trainer. He's going to do real well with that little puppy, and he'll make a lot of mistakes, but that's how you learn, right? Good boy, good. Oh, good boy, good. Notice how I did that. I brought it out, and then right when he rebit, I let it go. I let him win, right? Because what am I trying to build? I'm trying to build him coming to the back of the mouth and digging in. Good boy, good. All right, talk to you guys later. Mark Fresh, Protect Dog Training with Big Boy.